I'm all for it, Mr. Webster. The sooner we get this over with, the better.
Commissioner, my client is in concurrence with Ms. Lawson, at least in this particular regard. She would like to hear your decision.
Well, since both of you agree, I will delineate my recommendation. As the deed of trust indicates, both Mrs. Davidson and Miss Lawson are joint owners of the property in question located at 58 Darwood Avenue.
Yeah, but my father wanted me to have the house. He knew that she was going to...
Miss Lawson, if you continue to interrupt, I'll be forced to adjourn this hearing, and I'll make my recommendation in writing.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I mean, sir. Please go ahead.
You're quite sure?
Yeah.
Very well, then I will proceed. In cases of joint ownership, where the parties are unable to come to an agreeable terms about the disposition of property, it would become impossible to divide real estate such as this and to award half of the house to Mrs. Davidson and the other half to you, Miss Lawson. Therefore, the only amicable agreement would be to sell the real estate to a third party and to divide the proceeds accordingly. And that is the recommendation that I plan to make to the judge.
I am sorry, sir, but sometimes things like this happen. Of course the police were making every possible effort to bring Blue Nobles into custody. I don't like to see someone take justice into his own hands any more than you do, sir. If you feel that a letter to the editor is in order, it is certainly your prerogative. We are doing the best that we can. Thank you very much, sir. Goodbye.
Another complaint, I take it?
Concerned citizen mouthing off about how come some hood got to Blue Nobles before we did.
Oh, you don't think it was a hit job, do you?
That's what he said. I don't know who did it, Gene. I wish I did.
Well, could it be somebody who knew who Blue Nobles was?
His picture was in the paper, it was on the TV, his face was all over this town.
So then some crazy fool just decided to take the law into his own hands.
Maybe. Maybe not.
Well, do you have any kind of leads, John?
Give me a break, will you please, Gene? That's all I've been hearing since this thing blew open. I've been hearing from the public, from the chief, I got a call from the commissioner, I got every man working on this case that I can spare. And when something happens, I'll let you know, okay?
All right. Look, why don't we just leave Blue Nobles aside for the minute now here? Now, let me ask you something else. What about the prince? Have you gotten any closer to find out who he is?
Every lead that we got has turned into a dead end. But I'll tell you something, I am convinced that Ronnie Washington is the key to this whole thing. I just haven't been able to put the pieces together yet.
Do you think Ronnie Washington has anything to do with Blue Nobles?
It's a funny thing, Gene. At first, I was convinced that the man who attacked Laurie Martin was a lone psychopath. There was a case just like this one in St. Louis a while back. It just had all the same earmarks. The attacker had an obsession with his victim. He trailed her for weeks before the crime was committed. It was the exact same MO as the Cinderella rapist. What I'm trying to get at here is that it didn't strike me as the act of a professional criminal.
But what makes you feel otherwise?
When Blue Noble's picture appeared in the paper, we started getting some anonymous phone calls from people saying they had seen a man fitting his description in the vicinity of the Monroe Continuation School.
That's interesting.
It seems that him and another guy were hanging around down there eyeing the young girls, and they even propositioned a few.
Probably recruiting some of them for Ronnie Washington's stable, huh?
Yes, possibly. But I haven't got a shred of evidence to back it up.
Well, what about Miriam Mason? Do you think Ron Washington knows anything about her disappearance?
If your theory is correct, and the kidnappers were after Babs Farley and got Miriam Mason instead, then there is no doubt that Ronnie Washington is behind this whole operation.
Ronnie Washington and the prince.
Now, just hold on a second, Gene. This is all conjecture right now. And it's all off the record.
All right, I know. All right, look, I'll level with you. The paper wasn't the only reason that I come down here to see you. I wanted to see if I could talk to Monk. Well, what's going to happen to him now that he and Hernandez have been cleared of those attempted rape charges?
Don't forget, they're still breaking and entering. Those kids were caught red-handed.
But, John, they've already been in there a long time.
You know that Hernandez kid? He has got a record as thick as a telephone book. And a judge ain't gonna go easy on him. Monk is an entirely different situation. A good lawyer could arrange with a prosecuting attorney to have the charges reduced to trespassing.
And how much time would he do?
For trespassing?
Yeah.
It's possible he might get off with probation.
You know, I've always had a good feeling about that kid. I knew he wasn't involved.
Do you know an attorney that might be willing to take on his case?
Well, I'll look into it. You know, Monk's had bad breaks all of his life, and I think it's about time that he got a good one.
You haven't heard a word I've said, have you?
Miss Lawson, please.
I don't care what you say. I'm not gonna give that house up, never. That's my house. And my sister and my mother have been out to get me as long as I can remember, and it's just not fair.
Nancy, this is a legal proceeding here. You've already had a chance to argue your case.
Shut up, will you? I'm talking to the judge.
Commissioner?
Well, whatever he is. Look, maybe I haven't made myself clear. I mean, if you understood what I was telling you, you'd never side with Terry. But what can I do? I'm not a lawyer. I mean, I'm doing the best I can. I mean, can't you reconsider?
Miss Lawson, once I make my recommendation to the judge, you are free to make an appeal.
Well, what's that, an appeal?
I am required to file a written recommendation with the court within 2 weeks of this hearing. Now, at that time, either party can file an objection to my recommendation. Now, you have 10 days from the time that I submit my recommendation to file any objections you see fit.
And then what?
And then the judge will study my recommendation along with any objections submitted, and he'll make a decision.
But I'm making an objection now.
Commissioner, Mrs. Lawson never had much respect for the law.
Wait a minute. But this is just typical, isn't it? I mean, some fancy legal scheme to just get more lawyers and more money. Well, I don't buy it. You know, I don't have enough money for all this legal mumbo-jumbo.
Ms. Lawson, I am very sorry, but we can't alter the entire legal system just to satisfy your particular whim.
Well, what am I supposed to do? I mean, if I had enough money, I would have some hotshot lawyer here and I wouldn't be in this mess in the first place.
Ms. Lawson, it is hard for me to understand how a half owner of an $85,000 house would not have the means to secure the services of a lawyer. However, if such is the case, I would suggest that you contact the Legal Aid Society. Now, they might be able to secure affordable legal counsel for you.
Oh, yeah. Some law school dropout who handles charity cases. Well, no thanks.
Mrs. Davidson and Miss Lawson, as I have explained, you will receive written notification from the court concerning the disposition of this property. And this concludes the hearing of Davidson versus Lawson. Good day.
Maybe I should go to her.
Oh, no, I think we'll let her be, Terry. I mean, it's not going to make any difference what you say to her. Nancy's still going to be Nancy. Look, why don't we go on out and get some lunch? After all, we did win.
Well, lunch sounds terrific, but about winning today, I'm still not so sure.
Monk, there's somebody here to see you.
Hey, Gene, my man, it's good to see you.
Hey, buddy, how's it going?
Hey, I don't want to badmouth in front of the sergeant, but I can't say much for the accommodations around here. Hey, you got any idea when I can blow this joint?
Well, that's exactly what I wanted to talk to you about.
I mean, they know I didn't have nothing to do with that rape. Hey, I told you, didn't I? I leveled with you back when.
Mm-hmm, and I believed you back when. You know, I stuck my neck on the line for you, and I'm really glad that you proved me right.
Well, so how come I'm still stuck in this place? No offense, Sarge, but I don't much care for the company you keep around here.
You know, Monk, you were cleared on the attempted rape charges. But there's still a small matter of the video equipment that you got caught hauling out of Monroe Continuation School.
Oh, yeah, that.
Oh, yeah, that.
Monk, I'm gonna talk to an attorney and see if we can't get those charges reduced.
Sure, me and Hernandez got some old dumb public defender working our case. Man, he ain't getting nowhere.
Yeah, but see, the problem is that your situation is entirely different than Hernandez. Now, Hernandez has a long record of juvenile offenses, and you don't.
So?
Well, I'm going to get an attorney to petition the court and see if we can't have the two of you separated, and that way each of you could be tried separately.
And I might get off lighter.
Well, I'm going to talk to a lawyer. He's a friend of mine, Harold Webster, and we're going to see what we can do. But don't worry about the fees or anything. That's all my problem.
I don't get it.
What's that?
Hey, I'm not knocking what you're doing or anything, bruh, but I still don't get it. I mean, what do you care what happens to me?
Oh, let's just say I've got a good feeling about you. You remind me a lot of myself at your age, and sometimes I can't help but wonder how I would have reacted in a situation like yours. Now, I know that you've been in the slammer, and I know what that does to people. So, you know, I just really think that you deserve another chance. And I'm gonna see to it that you get one.
Can I get you gentlemen anything to drink before your meal arrives?
Yes, I think I'd like something. A ginger ale.
Yeah, make that two.
Okay, 2 ginger ales coming right up.
Thank you. I tell you, Alex, I feel great. I haven't felt this good in years.
Well, from the looks of you, I'd say working in that clinic agrees with you.
It's a lot of hard work, but it's worth it. Those folks in the Chesterfield area have needed medical care for a long time. They've been without it for too long.
Sounds like you've really found your niche here in Kingsley.
Yeah, I hope so. I can see myself working here for a long time.
Yeah, I'm sure of it.
I only wish that Ben could work there full time. There's more than enough work for both of us.
Yeah, I know. That's what he'd like to be doing, but unfortunately, that's not possible for him right now. He still has his work at the hospital.
Yeah, it's slow moving with his hand the way it is.
Yeah, not to mention that physical therapy that he has to go through every day. You know, retraining that hand's going to take a long time, Dave. Maybe months.
Well, what chances does Egan give him of ever regaining full use of that hand?
Well, I'll be honest with you, Dave. According to what Jack Egan tells me, Ben's going to be lucky if he ever regains even 80% use of that hand.
80%?
Yeah. Ben doesn't like to talk about it very much. I guess he just wants to go ahead with the therapy and see what happens.
Yeah, but Alex, he won't be able to operate again, will he?
I don't think so.
Well, I know the torment that Ben must be going through. You know, when I was drinking heavily, I gave up practicing in medicine. I just couldn't handle it. But there was nothing that tormented me more than the thought that I might not be able to practice medicine again.
Yeah, that same fear must be going through Ben's mind, too.
Yes, well, with God's help, he's going to get through it.
Hi, Stacy. Well, you're hot on the trail of a new story, huh?
Oh, yeah, it's a biggie, all right. The school lunches for next week. Look, somebody has to do it, right? Anyway, I'm almost finished. So what have you been up to this morning?
Well, I stopped by to see Brubaker, see if he had anything new on the Blue Nobles murder.
Does he?
No, not yet. But I did get to see Monk.
That kid you said was one of the suspects in the Martin case?
Yeah. At least he's been cleared of those attempted rape charges and everything. Poor kid has gone through a lot in the past couple of months, and I just want to see what I can do to help him out.
Are you still doing a follow-up on the rape attempt?
Yeah, I'd like to, you know, but I still have to talk to Lori Martin. And you know how her husband hit the ceiling when I mentioned interview to him? Ooh, he didn't even want her to talk to Brubaker. Fortunately, Lori did it on her own, though.
Well, if you could get to her, Gene, it'd make a heck of a story.
Yeah, but I still don't want to jeopardize my personal relationship with Ben. Oh, did you talk to McGovern about finishing that Miriam Mason story?
Yeah?
So what happened?
You know how McGovern's always on our backs about being concise?
Uh-huh.
Well, he was concise, all right. He summed it all up in 2 words. No way.
Oh, boy. Well, it is a pretty complicated story, and I suppose that's the reason that he wants the same reporter to follow through with it.
But what about the follow-up in the clinic? McGovern said no to that, too.
Stacy, he's gonna give you your chance one of these days.
I'm beginning to wonder.
Newsroom, Redland.
Gene, it's Terry.
Hi, Terry, how are you?
I've just come from the hearing about Mother's house. The commissioner is going to file his recommendation within 2 weeks, and unless Nancy files an objection, the judge should agree with his findings that the property be sold.
Whoa, hey, that is absolutely fantastic. That's wonderful. I can't wait to tell Carla.
I know she's going to be thrilled. I wanted you two to be the first to know.
Man, well, you know, I can't really thank you enough for everything.
Oh, sure. Listen, give my best to Carla.
Okay, I'll do that. You take care of yourself, huh?
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye. The house. We're finally gonna get the house.
All right.
All right, yes, indeed.
As you might have guessed, Jean was ecstatic.
Yeah, well, I know Carla will be, too.
Oh, that house means so much to her, especially now with the baby coming.
Yeah. Yeah.
2 for lunch?
Yes, please.
This way.
Thank you.
Well, Terry.
Alex, Dave.
Terry, how are you?
So you don't know Mr. Webster, do you?
No, I don't.
Harold Webster, Dave Phillips.
How do you do? Nice to meet
Phillips,
you.
I'm real pleased to meet you. I've heard an awful lot about you from out on Redland.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Harold.
Hey, Doc, how you doing?
Well, are you two here on business or pleasure?
Well, a little bit of both, actually. Celebrating a legal victory.
Well, in that case, why don't you join us?
Oh, yeah, please do.
Sure.
Okay, love to. Thank you.
We'll order later, thank you.
So tell us now, what's the good news?
We have just had the sublime pleasure of seeing Nancy Lawson get her just desserts.
Oh, I thought they'd done away with public executions.
Yeah, unfortunately they have. But at least she's getting kicked out of her house.
You mean your sister?
It's a long story, Dave.
Yeah, well, Terry and Nancy each inherited half of their mother's house, and Nancy is way in debt up to her neck, and she won't sell out. We had to go to court to get a legal settlement.
Ultimately, it's for her own good, I hope. You know, Jean and Carla Redland want to buy the house, and with the proceeds, Nancy can get herself out of debt and start all over.
Preferably in another town. Oh, Terry, I know you don't agree with that, but let's face facts. Nancy's brought all this on herself. And if she hadn't tried to pull off that fake paralysis routine in order to snare Charles Carpenter, this never would have happened, and she never would have had a phenomenal hospital bill like that.
Yeah, I agree. She's getting exactly what she deserves.
That must have been a hard thing for you to do.
It was. You know, even now, I'm not sure that I did the right thing. I mean, she keeps blaming me for the whole thing. I wonder if she'll ever understand.
Oh, she will someday.
Now, you obviously don't know Nancy Lawson real well. Now, the only thing she'd ever care for is a man's checkbook.
You know, he's right, Dave. You better be careful. With Carpenter out of the way, old Nancy Lawson just might be on the make for a new fall guy. We single fellas better watch our step.
Look, Jean, why don't you go home and tell Carl in person?
Oh, I'd love to, but I've got all this work to do, and I just can't walk away from this.
I'll cover for you.
Thanks, but what I ought to do is get myself busy here and hustle up so I can get out a little early tonight. And if I know Carla, she's probably gonna plan some big celebration when she hears.
Your family really means a lot to you, doesn't it, Jean?
Oh, yeah, it does.
I think that's great. You'll do just about anything to make sure your work doesn't interfere with your home life.
Oh. Let me tell you something. You know, I haven't always been that way. I used to work overtime a lot. Used to be what they call a workaholic. And now Carla and I are back together again. We're one family all over. Mom, Jimmy, Carla, myself. And my time with my family is very important to me, and I really wouldn't give that up for anything.
My family was like that, too. At least when I was growing up. It's different now. I'm supposed to have lunch today with my mother and my sister, but it's just not the same. Uh-oh. If I don't get moving, I won't get to see them at all. I better go.
And I better call Carla, too.
Yeah, she'd kill you if she thought you were holding out on her.
Yeah. Hey, you have a good time, huh?
Thanks. See you later.
All right.
Would there be anything else for you, gentlemen?
Another bill, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Terry, I was delighted to hear that Lori was doing so well.
Oh, she's doing much better than any of us ever expected.
Good. How's Ben doing with his therapy?
Well, he's still doing his exercises faithfully every day, but you know Ben, he doesn't like to talk about it very much.
So I've noticed. Well, I don't know about you, Dave, but I've got to get back to the hospital.
Oh, yeah.
Look, I'll get it this time. You got lunch last night.
Okay, thank you, Alex. Yeah, I've got to get going, too. I'm going to be worried about me. Terry, take care.
Thank you.
Harold, it's nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. See you folks later.
Okay.
You know, I've heard an awful lot about Dave Phillips, but that's the first time I ever met him. I'm real impressed.
Mm-hmm. You know what? If it hadn't been for Dave, Ben never would have gotten that clinic open.
He seems like a real nice fellow. Might make a real nice catch for somebody someday.
Like his wife.
Oh, no, Alex said that
He's divorced, but he's trying to get back with his wife.
better luck next time, Terry.
Harold Webster!
Hey, right this way.
Be ashamed.
Thank you. There'll be another person joining us.
Okay.
We'll order later.
That'll be fine.
I don't know what could be keeping Stacy.
Oh, I imagine things can get very hectic working on a paper.
Not with all the dribble they give her.
Amber, you may not think what Stacy does is important, but I'd appreciate it if you'd keep your editorial comments to a minimum, especially for her sake.
It's the truth.
Perhaps, but please, dear, keep it to yourself.
Hi, sorry
Hello,
I'm
dear.
late.
It's all right.
Oh, there was a lot of traffic downtown. And besides, when I pulled into the parking lot, I thought for a moment there was somebody I knew.
Really? Well, who was it?
Well, who?
Oh, just an old friend. Somebody I used to know a long time ago.
Join us again tomorrow for more of Another Life